Thank you for joining us on the Easy Odds videocast for the Premier League for this weekend, and some really tremendous and pivotal matchups at both the top end and the bottom of the table. I'm joined by Simon Hopper, editor of easyodds.com, and a man very much in form as well. We'll go to the big match of the weekend a wee bit later at Anfield. What a game that will be, Liverpool versus Man United. Loads of betting books available on each and every Premier League game. Don't forget to keep on checking out the Easy Odds website as we go through the weekend. Let's start at Man City at the Etihad, where Man City take on West Brom. 2nd versus 13th. Last 5 years in this fixture side, City are 5 from 5, with an aggregate scoreline of 15-3. But that doesn't sort of take into mind that a certain Mr. Pulis is in charge of West Brom.
Exactly, yeah. 2 of Tony Pulis' 4 away league games in charge of West Brom have been 0-0 draws, which doesn't surprise me at all. I think obviously Man City, this is probably going to be quite a flat game at the Etihad, you think, wouldn't you? Obviously they're now out of the Champions League with a bit of a whimper. Looks like they can't win the Premier League. Going to be a trophy this season. Looks like the manager's under pressure.
Huge pressure.
I think and the Etihad can be a flat stadium anyway, can't it? I think that the fans struggle to get up for these sort of games. So I think it might be a flat game. I mean, City are 1-3 favourites, Paul, and I know they're in poor form and they've just been knocked out of the Champions League. I still think that's okay. Their long-term home Premier League record's just so good. 25 wins from 32 under Manuel Pellegrini. I just can't oppose them. There's nothing in the long-term form book to suggest they should be taken on. West Brom are a pretty ordinary away side, so I don't really see any reason to take them on. But the bet for me, Paul, is under 2.5 goals for 2 reasons, and it's the best price 11-8. Which I think that's a really good price. I mean, it's going to be a flat atmosphere at the Etihad. Loads of sides have avoided drubbings at the Etihad this season. City have gone under in half of their home league games. Wow. Loads of bottom half clubs have avoided a thrashing. Last time out, Leicester only lost 2-0 here. They were always in the game. Hull drew 1-1 here not so long ago. Everton only lost 1-0. Of course, Stoke won there 1-0 earlier in the season. Obviously, City's forward play should be rusty after their exploits in the new camp during the week. And West Brom will go to the Etihad and be completely organised. As I said, 2 of Pulis' 4 away games have gone 0-0. In fact, they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 5 league games. That's brilliant. Which is brilliant, isn't it? And he's got a really well-drilled backline. Ben Foster's been ruled out, but Boaz Myhill's a perfectly adequate replacement. I don't think that'll be an issue. So I think this might be a little bit of a tepid affair, and I think we can take advantage by backing unders. I think 11-8 is a really nice price.
Tepid, first time we've used that in a video cast for many a long time. So interesting there. Can Man City get themselves up again after that defeat in Barcelona in midweek, where Joe Hart was absolutely magnificent? I've not seen a performance from a British goalkeeper in a long time like that, and God forbid he hadn't have been in that form. It would have been 5 or 6-0, wouldn't it?
It's funny, the Barcelona love the English goalkeepers. Like Fraser Forster, like Xavi's just like in love with Fraser Forster because of the Celtic Park match a few years ago. They love the British shot stoppers. A
little enlarged show that would be, wouldn't it? Let's go to Upton Park for West Ham versus Sunderland as 10th take on 17th, and they've got a new manager in up there on Weir's side. Will that have an effect on this game? Yeah,
Dick Advocat, last seen getting sacked by Serbia last year after doing a terrible job. Obviously a very experienced manager. I'm not sure Advocat's the right man for the job, I must say. He's a bit of a pragmatist. I'm not sure he's actually that different in philosophy to Gus Poyet. I think they could have gone with someone a bit more flamboyant. Flamboyant. Sunderland's problem is not conceding goals, it's scoring goals. Even getting in Jermaine Defoe's not helped. So I'm not sure it's the right point. I mean, the market's reacted slightly. Sunderland are now 4-1 to win at Upton Park. They were 5-1 earlier in the week, but I don't believe in new manager syndrome. I don't think there's enough statistical evidence to suggest that teams win more after they change their manager. Okay. I don't think it's a massive thing for me. I know West Ham are in really poor form and they're sort of ticking towards the end of the season, but they're still a solid mid-table side. I think 17-20 is probably right on a home win. I mean, Sunderland, they've only won 2 of their last 19 league games. I mean, Advocat's got a massive job on his hands here. But there is one bet I like, and it's the same bet as Man City West Brom, and it's under 2.5 goals. It is a shorter price and it is odds on at 17-20, but I actually think it could be a shorter price than that. I mean, Sunderland, as I said, their defence isn't bad. I mean, they've had a couple of absolute shockers. The 8-0 at Southampton and the 4-0 to Villa last time out.
They were awful games. I mean, there was almost like this cancer through the side that they couldn't care. They were walking.
It was just like the Southampton 8-0. They didn't have that in them. But if you actually look, they've played their 9 away games at clubs outside the top 7 this season. They've gone unders in 7 of them. So in these sort of games, they tend to be really low scoring. And they've actually gone unders in 9 of 14 on the road this term. So I think sometimes the market gets overly influenced by the one-off massive thrashings. In general, Sunderland go unders. And it's the goals which are the real issue. They're fine at the back, but they've only scored 11 in 14 on the road. And I can't see them scoring many against West Ham. Conversely, West Ham's goals have dried up completely. They've only scored 4 in their last 7. And they look such a classic, disinterested, mid-table, nothing to play for.
West Ham, Newcastle, Stoke. Well, actually, maybe.
Yeah, although
West Ham and Newcastle.
Newcastle actually feature a bit later for me in a positive.
Oh, okay.
fashion.
There you go.
Yeah, I think given West Ham just can't score, Sunderland can't score, and with a pragmatic new manager in, probably keen to get a point. I think unders at 17 to 20 looks a good bet.
Well, there you go. Don't forget, of course, this weekend, the culmination of the Rugby Union Six Nations. We've got Tom Powell, who's written his conclusions to those 3 matches. It's right on a knife edge. Go and have a read of that and have a look at the many markets available there. Should be a tremendous Saturday in the RBS Six Nations. 2 more matches for Simon to preview in this Easy Odds video cast. We'll look at Hull versus Chelsea shortly, but the big one of the weekend, what a matchup this is. Even as an Everton fan, I'll be watching this. It's at Anfield, of course. It's Liverpool versus Manchester United. It's 4th versus 5th. And Man United, the worst away record in the Premier League in the top 8. Listen to this. 19 points from a possible 42. So they won't be relishing the trip down the M62.
No, they won't. And Liverpool are 23 to 20 favourites to get another 3 points.
I thought maybe a bit shorter.
Yeah, I know. I thought people might think that, but I think it's about right. I know Liverpool are in great form. It's now 5 straight Premier League wins, 10 from the last 12. But only Chelsea have lost fewer away games than Man United this season. I know their points record is poor, but it's because they're drawing rather than losing. And you've got to consider that, they are actually quite hard to beat on the road, although they haven't been winning too many. Also, United seem to be clicking into gear. You just felt with the Tottenham win, they played at a slightly higher tempo. I just think maybe they might be starting to hit a bit of form. That was 3 straight Premier League wins for them as well. I think Liverpool deserve to be favourites, but I certainly wouldn't have them too much shorter than 23 to 20.
How are they set up at Anfield? Because if they've gained a bit of confidence from the Tottenham game, you would expect for them, if they try and play the same way, and Liverpool are obviously going to go for them in the first 20 minutes, this for the first quarter could be quite an open game, or will they try and sit back and soak up the Liverpool pressure?
I think they might try and sit back still, Paul. They have some very good ball-playing midfielders in Carrick and Blind who can take the sting out of the game. I went to the Arsenal Man United game earlier in the season and they hit Arsenal on the break very well. I think maybe they might try and do that against Liverpool, but we'll see anyway. I think the bet still is actually the same bet for the 3rd match in a row. It's under 2.5 goals. Again, it's odds on at 10 to 11, but again I think it should be a shorter price. I mean, Liverpool their games are so low scoring since they switched to the back 3. It's unbelievable. They've gone unders in 7 of their 9 games since switching to the back 3, including their 1-0 win at Swansea on Monday when Henderson got the winner midway through the second half. Right. In fact, in their last 6 league games combined, Liverpool and Man United have only conceded 1 goal. So both sides are pretty good at keeping out the opposition at the moment. And United's general slow build-up play on the road has made them quite boring this season. Unders in 9 of 14 on the road. I can see this being low scoring. I think last season Liverpool won this fixture 1-0 it wasn't a great game. I can see a similar sort of outcome this time around. I think the safe play is under 2.5 goals at 10 to 11.
There you go, there's a treble for you. 3 under 2.5 goals to kick us off in our live games on the Premier League videocast with Mr. Hopper. We'll have a look at his best bet very shortly. Loads of horse racing I've just put up on the website. If you're interested, anti-post, remember this time last year, those of you interested in horse racing, I tipped up for Heen to win the champion hurdle at 7 to 1. I've also managed to put up a champion hurdle and a Gold Cup preview for 2016, and whether you're an anti-post punter or not, do have a read of it. It might give you some ideas if you maybe want to go in large early doors. Let's go to Hull versus Chelsea. 15th against 1st, of course, last 3 years, 2 draws and a Chelsea win. Visitors' lack of confidence, question mark?
Definitely, Paul. I've opposed Chelsea with great success on the road this season. I napped Newcastle to beat them at 7 to 1. I had Sunderland all draw, went 0-0 at the Stadium of Light. I had Tottenham to beat them as well, which they did. And I think again it's a great opportunity to oppose Chelsea here. They're 1 to 2 shots to win at Hull. I don't really understand it, to be honest. Chelsea are okay on the road. They've won 8 of 14 on the road this season, but that's only 57%. It's not 1 to 2 good.
No,
the team aren't in good form. They've actually only won 5 of the last 10 Premier League games. They're really stuttering, and you just wonder whether Mourinho's paying for not rotating his key players. They just seem to start every single game. And I'm just wondering whether they're just slightly running out of steam. Obviously, the Champions League thing as well is not going to be positive for them. And Hull, I mean, Steve Bruce he's got them back to their obdurate best. They draw a lot of matches at their best. Hull. They don't win many, but they don't lose many either. And they've only lost 1 of their last 6. And that run was kick-started by a 1-1 draw at Man City, which was a very good performance. And I can see something similar happening this time around. And also with Hull, they're still highly motivated, Paul, because they're only 3 points above the drop zone. This isn't a Newcastle or a West Ham. This is a side that could still very easily get relegated. So they're going to be well up for it. They've actually only lost 1 home league game in 2015 at the KC. So I think Steve Bruce deserved his new contract. I know that it was a little bit of a surprise when he got it, but although I was, he did run out of me when I was mascot at Old Trafford in 1996.
I just think he fits Hull really well, you know.
He does fit Hull really well, and Darmian Ndoye, the new forward they got in January, has done really well. I just think this is a nice game for Hull. They like playing reactionary football. They like being the underdogs. And my selection is going to be Hull or draw in the double chance market. That's the best price, 15 to 8. Proper value players could go for the Hull win at 8 to 1. Yeah. But I'd like to keep the draw on side because Hull draw a lot of games. So Hull or draw, 15 to 8.
Okay, an odds against tip there for the final match of the weekend. It could be a race, couldn't it? 15 to 8. Going alongside those 3 tips at under 2.5 goals. Let's find out where Simon's best bet of the weekend is. He gave you a pointer to it earlier on in the video cast, and it involves the Magpies.
Yeah, I mean, this is the bet. My best bet is Newcastle to beat Arsenal, Paul, at St James's Park, which is the best price 5 to 1. Now, this is the sort of bet where I think true value players will understand what this is all about. Whereas I think the majority of people may be a bit confused why this is happening. But
this is a typical. If you're just joining us for the first time on the Premier League videos, this is a typical Hopper value bet, isn't it?
Yeah, this is. It's just because it's 5 to 1. It's always all about the price. I know Newcastle have got absolutely nothing to play for. They've got loads of injuries. Only got 3 fit defenders. They've got a manager that's probably leaving at the end of the season. The fans aren't happy. They're in poor form. Arsenal are in great form. But Newcastle aren't that bad. They're not 5 to 1 bad. Their home record's not bad. 6 of 14 home wins this season. They're still 11th in the table. You know, this isn't a terrible team. They can play well on the day. They've had some big scouts at St James's Park this season. They beat Chelsea 2-1. They beat Liverpool 1-0. You know, when they're up for it, they can be a really dangerous team. I know Arsenal are in good form, but of course they played in Monaco during the week. That's got to be a negative.
Sanchez looked out on his knees, didn't he?
Sanchez has looked tired for a while. He's actually not been contributing many goals or assists for a long time now. They're hardly flawless on the road, Arsenal. They've lost around 1 in 3 of their away league games this season, and 1 in 3 since the start of last season. Normal opposition teams should be 2 to 1 to beat Arsenal, in my opinion, when they go away. Newcastle is a bang average team. I think Newcastle should be factoring in their poor form and everything else. They should be around 3 to 1 shots for me. I think 5 to 1 is too big on a home win for a decent team on their day. So Newcastle to beat Arsenal at 5 to 1.
5 to 1 is your best bet of the weekend on the Premier League football video cast. We'll be back next week. Don't forget, of course, have a look at the lower leagues as well. Plenty of markets there as the Championship, League 1 and League 2 come to the sharp end of their season. Whatever you do this weekend, be safe, be sound, and grab the value on easyodds.com.